That was great, wasn't it? So you see, there you have it, folks. Democracy does in fact live in Miami. The night is getting long, and I could reflect on many things that I heard and the kinds of reactions that I saw people have. But I just want to say one thing, that when we first started talking about this, when we first started rehearsing, these five folks that did that first group monologue didn't know each other, and by the end of it, it was really amazing to see how engaged they were, and it really made me proud to see that kind of interaction. And so I congratulate all of them, everyone on stage, for being here tonight. This is a small crowd of people compared to the rest of the people that need this kind of inspiration and guidance on what to do. And it's inspiring leaders like this that will help folks peel away from the drama and move forward towards productive action. It's also that kind of leadership provided by those that made this night possible through their generous financial support. The Knight Foundation, one email to Alberto and he got it right away. The Green Family Foundation, thank you, Kimberly, Ambassador, and Dorothea, for your belief in me and this idea so early on. Thank you. The Miami Foundation for having their pulse on all of the current needs of our communities. And leaders like Steve Zack and the Zack Family Foundation, John Kislak, Cesar Alvarez, Carlos Saladrigas, former Mayor Alex Pinellas, all of them for their contributions. Thank you so very much. And of course, there are the local heroes and sheroes that you find listed in the program, whose intellectual, in very small print, I might add, sorry about that, but whose intellectual, political, and emotional support was key to getting here. It's been a really long, somewhat organic journey. Early in November of last year, a Republican friend of mine who had not heard her for quite some time, who was concerned with what he was seeing and hearing, called me and said, "This democracy is under attack. You know it, I know it. What are you going to do about it?" I was like, what am I going to do about it? What the heck I don't know what I'm going to do about it. What are you going to do about it? What the heck is anybody going to do about it? Well, look around you tonight. Tonight reflects one thing we can do and did do. Thanks to many of you, we are here tonight, over a year later, to show ourselves, this community, and maybe the country, that in spite of everything going on, democracy indeed lives in Miami and remains alive and well in this country. But how much can we really accomplish in one night? Potentially nothing, and possibly a lot. It all depends on you. It all depends on us. It's our hope that leaders in this room will leave here today saying, it actually depends on me. As usually is the case, though, before we know where we are going, it's helpful to know where we came from. And if we're honest, we know that the current degenerative public discourse that's currently threatening our way of life is not the product of any one elected official, but rather a symptom of a slow and gradual malady that has been incrementally infecting our democracy for decades. Some say that the decline of trust and civility in our political landscape can be traced to Watergate or the social upheavals of the 60s. Some even point their fingers to the rising cable TV news and social media. Whatever the origins, it feels as if we may have reached a tipping point with the future health of our democracy in the balance. It would be a mistake to believe that the intense polarization we experience today is simply about immigration or reproductive rights, race, or any other policy or point of view. Political disagreement is natural and inevitable. But what we're experiencing now is something more. Our democratic values and institutions that protect them are being undermined. Independent courts are being questioned and even mocked. Our rule of law is attacked by those that ignore rulings they disagree with. Our cherished free press is disparaged so harshly that journalists are put in physical danger. The press, often under pressure from corporate interests for ratings and financial returns, can be complicit in escalating that noise, making it difficult to discern the line between fact and political hyperbole. Let's be clear. Attacks on the values and institutional protections that safeguard our freedoms are neither liberal nor conservative. They are un-American. Our ability as Americans to differentiate between policy, ideology, and values is vital to a healthy democracy. I mean, we can support widely different policy solutions to our challenges. And we understand that people espouse different ideologies depending on how they see fundamentally how to govern. But it's our commitment to these American values that provide the framework for the health and vitality of our civic infrastructure. So how do we survive these anxiety-ridden times? Well, we take a moment to take stock and realign ourselves with these shared values. Our history is marked by moments when Americans took stock and took action on behalf of democratic institutions. I mean, that's how we decided that 8-year-olds shouldn't be working 10 hours in dingy factories, right? It's how we came together from all sides to ultimately defeat McCarthyism. It's how we tapped our sense of justice when we stood up to ensure voting rights regardless of gender and race. While the past has taught us invaluable lessons about securing our freedoms, it is now our task to ensure democracy in the future. Regardless of our identities and political affiliations, we must find common ground in resisting those that seek to attack, diminish, and dismantle our democratic institutions. Thank you. Don't let anyone dismiss this call for genuine public discourse as a faint effort to be polite or politically correct. It's not. We have to begin with the premise that our political opponents love this country too. I mean, simply put, if I vehemently disagree with you on an array of issues, but I know that we share a love for this country, I'm going to be a better listener. And you're going to be a better listener. And we both will be more curious about what shapes each other's convictions. And as a result, our conversation is less likely to disintegrate to name-calling, shaming, and will likely produce more vibrant debates and more equitable solutions. So what's our next step? Remembering what we heard here tonight and leveraging the power of shared values to realign ourselves accordingly. And, you know, please give a robust round of applause to Joel, Peter, Eddie, Maru, Max, James, Mike, and everyone in the Democracy Lives in Miami team. Thank you. We need them as we need you for our next goal, and that's the Democracy Lives in Miami Fall Conference, which is now scheduled for September 27th this year at Miami-Dade College. And there we're going to have an opportunity to take a deeper dive on these issues and attempt to move forward for a more perfect union. And I just want to close by, first of all, thanking you all for being here. I know this was an event with no organization and people were like, what is this and who is this and what is this? But something triggered you, right? Something piqued your interest, something that you've been feeling. And I just want to say that if there was not one thing that somebody said here that made you kind of eek or made you uncomfortable, then we probably didn't do our job. I hope it did. Good. And when you leave here, because we've all been in places where we feel great and then we go and life takes advantage. But we're going to work towards this conference together, and we want your opinion. We want to, this is the beginning. This event does not solve anything. It simply acknowledges where we're at. So when you're watching TV a couple of months from now, and you're looking at that parade going down Pennsylvania Avenue with tanks, I want you to remember today, and I want you to take some action in your leadership sphere to make sure that our democracy survives. Thank you so much.